The year is 1872. Spain, a nation steeped in tradition and the rigid protocols of its ancient monarchy, is about to witness a love story that would challenge the very foundations of its crown. A secret affair, so passionate, so defiant, that would echo through the gilded halls of history, whispering tales of forbidden love, betrayal, and a woman silenced by the relentless power of the throne. Welcome to Royal Affairs Unveiled. Tonight, we delve into a scandal that time tried to bury, an illicit romance born from the clash of duty and desire, featuring a king, a captivating opera singer, and the illegitimate children history almost forgot. This is the tragic, yet enthralling, tale of King Alfonso XII and the extraordinary Elena Sanz. A story where the heart dared to challenge the crown and paid an unbearable price. To understand the tumultuous affair, we must first journey back to a Spain teetering on the precipice of change. The 19th century was a period of intense political upheaval for the Iberian nation. The Bourbon dynasty, a lineage stretching back centuries, had faced republican fervor, revolutions, and periods of exile. It was into this volatile inheritance that a young prince, Alfonso, was born. His mother, Queen Isabella II, a monarch whose reign was as controversial as it was lengthy, was eventually deposed, forcing the royal family into exile in Paris. It was there, away from the immediate pressures of the Spanish court, that Alfonso matured. Educated in Vienna and Sandhurst, he was groomed for a future he wasn't yet certain would come to pass. Yet, destiny had a different plan. After years of political instability, a coup d'état in 1874, known as the Pronunciamiento de Sagunta, declared him king. Suddenly, at just 17 years old, Alfonso XII, the Restorer, was called back to Spain to reclaim his ancestral throne. He returned to Madrid, not merely as a monarch, but as a symbol of hope and stability for a nation desperate for peace. The weight of an entire country, its traditions, its future, rested squarely on his young shoulders. While the young king was navigating the treacherous waters of statecraft across the artistic stages of Europe, a different kind of star was rising. Her name was Elena Sanz. Born in Castellón de la Plana in 1849, Elena possessed a voice that captivated, a beauty that enchanted, and a spirit that defied the conventions of her time. From a modest background, her exceptional talent as a mezzo-soprano quickly opened doors. She trained at the Madrid Royal Conservatory, where her powerful, resonant voice and striking stage presence marked her as destined for greatness. Elena was more than just a singer. She was a force of nature. Tall, with an alluring figure, dark, expressive eyes, and a cascade of chestnut hair, she commanded attention both on and off the stage. Her reputation grew, leading her to perform in the grand opera houses of Paris, Vienna, and Milan, sharing the stage with the luminaries of her era. She embodied the modern, independent woman, fiercely ambitious, supremely talented, and utterly magnetic. Little did she know, her extraordinary life was about to intersect with that of a king, setting in motion a drama far grander and more perilous than any opera she had ever performed. The stage was set, not in an opera house, but within the intimate, charged atmosphere of a private gathering. The year was 1875, just months after Alfonso's return to the throne. Madrid buzzed with royal events, and it was at one such exclusive soiree that fate brought them together. King Alfonso, still finding his footing as a young monarch, was captivated. Elena Sanz, accustomed to the adoration of crowds and the admiration of high society, found herself drawn to the charm and youthful vulnerability of the king. Their initial encounter was discreet, a casual introduction perhaps, but the spark was undeniable. For Alfonso, Elena represented an escape from the suffocating strictures of court life, a breath of fresh air, a woman of passion and independence. For Elena, the king was not just a monarch, but a handsome, intelligent young man, powerful and intriguing. What began as a clandestine flirtation, hidden beneath the polite veneer of courtly interactions, quickly deepened. Secret messages were exchanged, discreet meetings arranged, shielded by trusted confidants and the sprawling anonymity of Madrid's aristocratic circles. Their attraction was a dangerous game, one that threatened to unravel the delicate tapestry of royal propriety, yet neither seemed able nor willing to resist its intoxicating pull. As weeks turned into months, the affair between King Alfonso XII and Elena Sanz blossomed in the shadows. Their meetings were a carefully orchestrated dance of deception, conducted under the veil of night or within the secluded villas on the outskirts of Madrid. Elena would often perform at the Royal Theatre, a convenient excuse for her presence in the capital, but her true purpose was often a rendezvous with the king. Their passion was intense, a stark contrast to the rigid formality of Alfonso's public life. Elena offered him solace, laughter, and an intellectual companionship he found lacking within the confines of his royal duties. Imagine the risk: a monarch jeopardizing his newly restored throne, a celebrated opera singer risking her burgeoning career and reputation. Every whispered word, every shared glance, every clandestine embrace was fraught with danger. Yet, the thrill of the forbidden, the genuine affection they shared, propelled them deeper into the liaison. They were two souls undeniably connected, caught in a web of their own making, where the personal desires of a man and a woman collided head-on with the unyielding demands of a crown. The court, ever observant, began to murmur. Whispers, like tendrils of smoke, started to curl through the palace, hinting at a royal indiscretion that threatened to ignite a scandal of monumental proportions. The whispers soon became a roar that the young king could no longer ignore. Royal duty, a force far more potent than any personal desire, demanded an heir and a politically advantageous marriage. The chosen bride was his cousin, Princess Maria de las Mercedes of Orleans, a beautiful and spirited young woman with whom Alfonso genuinely fell in love. Their engagement was announced, a cause for national celebration, yet a dagger to the heart of Elena Sanz. The king found himself torn between two worlds, two loves. His affection for Mercedes was real, a tender, pure love that offered the promise of a stable monarchy. But his bond with Elena was visceral, a passionate connection that defied all reason and duty. The palace wedding, a magnificent affair in January 1878, sealed Alfonso's fate and, seemingly, Elena's. Yet, even as he married Mercedes, his affair with Elena continued, a painful act of betrayal to both women. This period marked a profound internal conflict for Alfonso. He was a man divided, bound by the crown, yet yearning for the freedom Elena represented. The tension was palpable, a silent drama unfolding behind the public spectacle of royal happiness. The consequences of their hidden passion soon became undeniably clear. In 1879, Elena Sanz gave birth to a son, Alfonso. Barely a year later, in 1880, another son, Fernando, followed. These were the children of the king, born out of wedlock, living proof of an affair that the Spanish crown desperately sought to erase from public consciousness. The existence of these illegitimate heirs presented a monumental crisis for the monarchy. The meticulously constructed image of a virtuous king, devoted to his queen and his people, was at stake. The palace moved swiftly and ruthlessly. Elena, once a celebrated singer gracing the grand stages of Europe, now found herself at the receiving end of royal pressure. She was offered a substantial pension and a life abroad, an inducement to leave Spain and, crucially, to maintain absolute silence about the paternity of her children. It was a golden cage, designed to protect the crown's image at the expense of a woman's truth and a mother's right to openly acknowledge her children's lineage. Elena, financially dependent and socially vulnerable, had little choice but to accept. The two young boys, Alfonso and Fernando, were spirited away, their existence a closely guarded royal secret, living under the shadow of a father who was king but could not publicly be their father. Exiled from Spain, yet forever bound by her sons, Elena Sanz's life became a lonely testament to sacrifice. She settled in Paris, a city of artistic freedom, but one that could not fill the void left by her separation from the king and the public denial of her children's heritage. The once vibrant, ambitious opera singer, who had commanded stages across Europe, now lived a life tinged with melancholic regret. The opulent pension provided by the Spanish crown was a poor substitute for the love and acknowledgement she yearned for. Her correspondence with Alfonso, though sporadic and heavily censored, revealed her deep emotional turmoil. She struggled with the burden of secrecy, the societal ostracization, and the profound pain of her sons growing up without their royal father's open affection. The emotional toll was immense. She continued to perform occasionally, her voice perhaps carrying a deeper resonance of sorrow, but the fire that had once burned so brightly within her began to dim. Elena Sanz, the captivating muse, the passionate lover, was slowly being consumed by the weight of her crown-imposed silence, a woman whose heart was broken by the very power that had once charmed her. Tragedy struck the Spanish monarchy and Elena Sanz with brutal suddenness. In November 1885, King Alfonso XII, still a young man at just 27 years old, succumbed to tuberculosis. His death plunged Spain into a deep mourning and political uncertainty. For Elena, the news was devastating. The man she had loved, the father of her children, was gone. With his death, her fragile connection to the Spanish court and her hopes for future recognition for her sons vanished into thin air. The aftermath of Alfonso's death saw his second wife, Queen Maria Cristina, pregnant with their future heir, assume the regency. The court's priority was the stability of the Bourbon dynasty, and this meant ensuring the legitimacy of the royal line and maintaining the pristine image of the late king. Elena Sanz and her two sons became an even greater inconvenience, a potential stain on Alfonso's legacy. The pension continued, a cold, financial obligation, but any hope of acknowledgement, any whisper of their true parentage, was systematically suppressed. Elena found herself utterly alone, her grief compounded by the knowledge that her story and that of her children would remain buried under layers of royal secrecy. Despite the relentless pressure for silence, Elena Sanz, in her later years, found a measure of courage. She began to speak, cautiously at first, then more openly, about her relationship with Alfonso XII and the true paternity of her sons. She fought for their recognition, not just for financial support, but for their rightful place in history. Her confessions, though often met with official denials and resistance, were a defiant act against the suffocating silence imposed by the crown. She wanted her children to know their father, and for the world to know her truth. However, the powerful machinery of the monarchy proved too formidable. Her attempts to gain official acknowledgement were met with legal battles and public indifference. Elena Sanz passed away in Nice, France, in 1898, a broken woman, her fight unfinished. Her life, once so vibrant and full of promise, ended in relative obscurity, her truth dismissed as the ramblings of a scorned mistress. She was buried far from Spain, her story largely untold, her legacy intertwined with a royal scandal that the palace had successfully managed to largely suppress. The story of Elena Sanz and King Alfonso XII stands as a poignant testament to the immense power of the crown and its ability to shape narratives, to erase inconvenient truths, and to silence dissenting voices. For decades, the existence of Alfonso and Fernando Sanz was a footnote, a whispered rumor, never officially acknowledged by the Spanish monarchy. The official history books remained largely silent, painting a picture of a dutiful king, untainted by such a scandal. Elena's sons, though they bore the king's features and inherited some of his charm, lived their lives in the shadow of their royal father, denied the birthright their mother so desperately fought for. It was only much later, through the diligent work of historians and the eventual opening of private archives, that the full, heart-wrenching story of Elena Sanz, the captivating opera singer and her royal lover, truly began to emerge from the shadows. The crown, in its relentless pursuit of image and stability, often demands the ultimate sacrifice, the truth. Elena Sanz's love for Alfonso XII and her valiant fight for her children ultimately became a battle she could not win against the overwhelming force of royal decree. Narrator, haunting, reflective tone. Her tale forces us to ask, does a crown truly protect love, or does it, in its relentless pursuit of duty and power, ultimately destroy it? Was Elena Sanz merely a royal indiscretion, or a woman who dared to love a king, and in doing so, paid the most profound price? Her silence confessions echo through time, a haunting reminder that behind every gilded facade, there often lies a story of shattered hearts, secret lives, and a love that, though forbidden, refused to be forgotten. This has been Royal Affairs Unveiled. Join us next time as we uncover another hidden chapter from the annals